So welcome to another conversation with Millionairess magazine and the Millionairess movement. I'm Amanda Jane Clarkson, editor-in-chief, and today I am delighted to be joined by millennial Latina influencer, financial educator, host and voice behind the Latina Money podcast, Janet Cruz Padrón. Janet talks all things money and wealth with successful entrepreneurs, amazing creatives and industry elites to share exclusive insider tips, wisdom and actionable tips that all modern women can use to build wealth and create smart and savvy income. And I couldn't agree more. Welcome, Janet. We are delighted to have this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chit chat with you all.
She's even got the Australian lingo, chit chat. I love it. Awesome. So Janet, tell us your story. How did your journey to where you are now really begin? What got you into this industry?
Oh, it's been such a wild ride. Well, prior to creating the financial empowerment platform, Latina Money, I spent a little over a decade in working in the government sector. So as you can imagine, when it comes to government, government contracts are worth, immense amount of, money. So essentially it was, kind of daunting to work in that sector, but personally come from a community that historically has really struggled economically. So, really kind of focusing on that dynamic, it was something that called out to me that I felt compelled to really explore and unpack and, really just sort of, really unpack essentially.
To help other women understand money and how money works. So I've watched quite a few of your videos and your teachings, which is fantastic for the millennial woman and actually any women, because over where you come from, do you find that people, especially women, are uncomfortable talking about money and taking control of their financial destiny?
Absolutely. And it's something, the more that I have engaged in these conversations, the more I really explore the money conversations. I realize that it's, essentially I can only speak for myself, which is the work, how it started within the Latina community. But I am a woman first and foremost. So it's a problem, it's a challenge that we all face across the board, whether we are, whatever ethnicity we might come from. It's predominantly, a challenge for all women because we are, I would say due to maybe the way that we were raised, we were not taught a lot of financial education at home. So it's hard to feel comfortable having those conversations outside of, out in the professional world, because you tend to feel maybe, not as feminine. It's not typically a feminine subject, right? You feel a little bit intimidated as it is right now. Finance is a sector that's predominantly men dominated. So it's tough. It can be overwhelming. The jargon is extremely complicated. We get taught to believe that the finance is complicated. So we shy away from it. We do get, have that little fear of confronting the numbers, but I think it can be a very liberating experience once we sort of filter through all that complexity and just get down to the essentials and the basics. And so once we have that solid financial foundation for ourselves, so many more other doors open for us, which has been incredible to see women really blossom once they're able to kind of just get through that initial challenge of facing their numbers.
I totally understand and agree with you. So I've heard you talk about financial self-love. We talk about self-worth equals net worth equals life worth. And we talk a lot about self-love. What does financial self-love mean from your perspective?
Well, it's really essentially kind of going back to building that solid financial foundation for yourself. I think, we think of self-love as the manicures, the pedicures, the spa days, right? Which they're fabulous. We all love to really pamper ourselves in that way. But there are certain things that we can do on a regular, consistent basis that is, fueling that mental peace, that internal peace that I believe is the ultimate act of self-love and self-care, is having that that sense of peace within ourselves every day in and day out, regardless of what may be going on out external from us. And really taking control of our money is something that, has the power to change your entire life completely. Not only do you know where you stand, but you also know how much work you have to do. But then also you can cultivate a financial life that's going to have your back, that's going to support you in those times that inevitably come. We all get served, a certain series of unfortunate events in life that we can't control. But when we are able, physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, in a solid place, we're able to withstand those hits. We're able to really navigate through those unfortunate times and come out the other end much stronger, much, better and smarter and wiser, and, just in a better position.
I love this message, and I hope our ladies listening are taking notes, because it's very wise. It's very wise, sage advice coming from you, from obviously wisdom and experience. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced along your journey? As you said, life delivers all sorts of ups and downs, sideways, especially as a woman in business, being an entrepreneur and wanting that financial independence. What have you gone through that you can share with our listeners today?
Well, it's one of my personal challenges has been really pushing past those limiting beliefs, past the conditioning, past the programming, the childhood programming, essentially. While I am very fortunate, and I think many of us can relate, that we have, we've had certain aspects of our childhood that we treasure, but then there's other aspects on the flip side that have really served to, kind of keep us playing small, essentially. So it's been really a challenge for myself. And again, kind of going back to working within the government sector, but then the huge contrast of, where I came from, where I was raised and how I was raised, and really just sort of analyzing that dynamic, you realize that we need to be able to see what's possible. Because if we don't see what's possible, then we will continue to stay playing small, playing it safe, being in our comfort zone. And there's only so much enjoyment, so much happiness, fulfillment that we're going to find within that comfort zone until part of ourselves really starts to, part of our souls really start to die, and I think it's important to be able to see, people doing the things that really call to you, or, people living lives that you feel are exciting, or you feel, motivated by, to see that things, what's possible. But then it's also really doing the work and being brave enough and pushing past the fear of, what you've been taught, how you've been, how the status quo of how you've been living. So for me, that's been a personal challenge, really unlearning and then having to relearn, the things that I wanted to, to live, how I wanted to live, how I wanted to be in a conscious way.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. Most of us grew up in a time where we weren't, taught about money, didn't understand money. Money doesn't grow on trees, and these self-limiting beliefs that really drive our future and create our destiny. What drives you, Janet, to want to serve women and help women overcome their financial limiting beliefs?
Well, it's, again, from personal experience, because I know how tough the journey has been for me personally. I think the toughest battle has been the internal battle, is getting past those limiting beliefs, really doing the work to look at, my life and say, what has been working, what hasn't been working, and then really addressing those in a conscious, manner. And seeing my own evolution, then passing on that knowledge to my community, is that we've built around Latina Money. But, it's not exclusively Latinas. I've had the immense privilege of working with all types of women, and essentially the experience is the same, regardless of our backgrounds. Once we sort of start unlocking those doors for ourselves, we tend to blossom in some of the same ways. So it's been really incredible to get to meet with other women and connect with other women and hear how just the tiniest little tweaks on their financial life has really, had a ripple effect on their whole entire life.
Well, it ripples down to the family, to the children. We call it the butterfly effect here. And we love the idea of impacting generations and changing the language and internal beliefs and feelings in and around money. In fact, I like to talk about money too, Janet. I have a whole pile here sitting on my desk. I use it as a fan, but I say to women, wow.
So cultural. I love it even more.
We've got some really gorgeous, colourful money here in Australia, but I've got European and American money. But I say to women, when I hold this money up, pardon?
You have all the best.
I got all the pretty colours. But I say, how does this make you feel? And some people go, oh, yeah. I believe money is not the root of all evil. And even I grew up in a family, I think I'm in my 50s now, where money doesn't grow on tree, money's hard to get, money is the root of all evil. And I realized that that wasn't really my truth. And that's sort of where I started to question the idea about money. And I'm thinking, well, what could we do with this? What great stuff can we do in the world? Whose lives can we change? And what does it look like to become financially independent? And so the women listening to us having this conversation, seeing this money and go, wow, I haven't got enough. I would love some. I lay in bed at night worrying myself sick. I don't know if you've been there. I've been there. Worrying myself sick about money and my future. What would be one thing that you could share with someone listening to this just to take that first step?
I would say, one of the phenomenal things about the time that we live in now is that we are in a digital era. We are technology, although it can be a bit of a headache sometimes, it connects us universally, globally. So really, it's such a gift to be able to tap into resources, at whatever time of the day, whenever we feel down, whenever we are feeling that anxiety. So I would say, for any woman that is in that position where they just feel like they need, something, they're looking for something, I would say, try to look at finances maybe in a little bit more of a fun way. And that's what's been great about social media. With the Latina Money platform, Instagram, I've realized, it's become a place where women can come, they can get inspired, whether it's a meme, whether it's a funny meme, whether it's a financial tip, whether it's just a funny picture, something that sparks that lightheartedness when it comes to your finances, really helps us to get away from that anxiety, from that shame that we might be feeling, from that fear. So really, I would advise, all women to just start, maybe following financially empowering platforms on social media. Just get involved in those money conversations from a lighthearted standpoint. And from there, you'll see that the ball will start rolling. You'll kind of go down that rabbit hole of one thing leads to another, where you'll start picking up little not only inspiration, but tips that are going to help you, that you can implement, that are small, that will make a difference, that are actionable. So it's really just, sort of going through the fun part of it, make it, as less intimidating as possible. And then from there, you'll start to see some real magic happen.
Yeah, and it's really great advice that you're sharing there, is not to make it something frightening, something that's not achievable, something that's challenging. And that's why I sit here and have my little coloured fan.
Yes. And I love that you just said, that money was not the root of all evil, and you saw that it wasn't your truth. And I think that is so empowering, and we have to really let that be all of our truths, because then we won't fear it. I think, I've never met a woman that wasn't generous. And I think that when women have money, they will find ways to be generous, not only to themselves, but their families, their communities, and society as a whole. So really, there's no better hands that money can be in than, I think, us women collectively. So really, we should use that as inspiration. The more money that I have, I can settle my bills. I can ensure my survival and the survival of my family. But, I know that after these basic needs are taken care of, I will find a way to contribute, to my fellow women, to my fellow, to my community, and then just so on a global scale. So really, I think nothing good can come of, making sure that we're not only financially surviving, but that we also financially thrive.
Exactly. And we talk about overcoming your stinking thinking around money and helping women overcome it. Because if I ever say to a woman, I've done lots of seminars, put your hand up if you would love to have money to give to philanthropic causes, to your charities, to your family, to those in need, every hand goes up. But then when I say who's financially independent or who's got a lot of spare money to be able to do that, hands go down. And if we can just shift our thinking from self to others in a serving way, money then becomes a different topic altogether. It's, wow, how much can I attract to be able to do greater things in this world? Would you agree with that sort of statement?
Yes, and I love that. And I think it's also one of the, right along with the tips of making money fun, finding ways to make money fun, is to embrace the idea of, speaking money. And, I wear it as a movement. I speak dinero. And I think that there's something very simple yet very powerful about that. With social media, again, we have the power to reach so many different people all at once. So, a tiny, something that could also have the power to change our financial lives, just our lives in general, really, is posting, what your financial goals are. What are you working for? What are you working towards? And if you put that out on social media, you'd be surprised. People want to help you. People want to support you. And, and if they really resonate with who you are, with, what your message is, what you stand for, you'd be surprised. People want to jump in and help you achieve those goals. So even just something as simple as posting, what a financial goal of yours is, or what you're working towards, currently, you'd be surprised who's, willing to help.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And so many people, there is so much money in the world. There's not a lack of money or a shortage of money. There's a shortage of mindset, unfortunately. We talk about the Millionairess money mindset and try and create this healthy relationship with money, because money impacts everything that is so important to us and our families. And anytime a woman says to me, money is not important, I understand she's got stinking thinking, and it's a real desire of my own to help women overcome that, because freedom in the sense of the real world, financial independence and freedom means you can do so much more great stuff in the world, helping other people and helping them get out of their funky spot. Now, let's talk about this that you talk about, having either one of two money problems. You're either a spender or an earner. Can you share a little bit more about what you mean by that? I like that one.
Absolutely. What inspired really sort of how I stumbled onto that discovery, was a combination of things. But when I was 15, I couldn't wait to have my mom sign my high school work permit, and at that time, getting to work was really about getting that paycheck so I could splurge, right? But now, as adults, I think we all, for the most part, work to be able to get a paycheck to survive. And I think that that's very, there's a lot on the line when a paycheck becomes that important. So, when I was 15, splurging money, I didn't really think twice about it because I felt young. You feel full of energy. I thought to myself, hey, I'll just spend this money and then I'll just go, get my butt back to work and then just make it all over again. But then that cycle continued on and on and on to where, I got into my 20s with still those same habits. I got into my 30s with still some of those habits. And it can be detrimental because, by the time you're in your late 20s, you're into your 30s, and and beyond, we get tired. There's different obligations. Now we probably have families, so our demands on our time are much greater, and we can't just bounce back how we want to. Even now with the economy and everything that's going on globally, what happens if we can't get back to work, even if we want to, So I think that was an incredibly hard lesson for me to learn, which it took me a lot of trial and error to figure out, hey, if I'm spending this way, I'm going to have to constantly be working this way for the rest of my life. And that's not how I want to live my life. So with that epiphany, I also, and my work with Latina Money, I realized that women in general have that challenge of a pay gap. So we don't earn entirely the full dollar, whereas opposed to, our white male counterparts earn a full dollar. Women earn much less than that. So we're constantly having to play that catch-up game when it comes to our money. And that affects us, gravely, again, when it comes to our families, our businesses, our communities. That's less money that we're able to circulate amongst those, those things. So I've become very passionate about, teaching that. It's really sort of analyzing, do you have a spending problem or do you have an earning problem? And really focusing on that and doing the necessary work to sort of correct those issues.
That's very powerful. So what I'm hearing is, first of all, awareness of, are you a spender, or is it the spending problem or the earning problem? And then to start to break the old habits, because habits really get a hold on you and they're quite hard to break, especially if you've been living them for so many years. And I love to say, with money, watch your money. It's appreciation. If you appreciate it, it'll hang around a little bit more, kind of like a friend or a lover or somebody that you're trying to romance with. But if you depreciate it, it wants to run away. And I think that so many of us, especially women, depending on where we've grown up, what country, what background, what we've been taught at school, parents, religions, guardians, we don't have this fabulous relationship with money. And I love that you're focusing on younger women, mainly millennials, but I guess it goes to a broader spectrum, because it kind of starts, if I'd had the education at your age, in my early 30s or 20s even, it could be a different story. And I think that it's so powerful what you're doing here. And so you're a young lady, you're a young Latino lady, and you understand finance, you understand the gap, and you're giving some sage advice here for such a young woman. Have you had mentors? Who's played a role in your life that's helped you get a grasp on this, overcome your own habits, self-awareness, and then go on to teach personal empowerment around money?
Well, I, was very fortunate again to, be working in the government sector. So within that sector, I had the privilege of running into individuals that were, not only incredibly wealthy, but also incredibly successful within their own industries, within their own, chosen fields. So, again, kind of reflecting back on my own personal experience, I think it's important to not only have mentors that teach you the way, but then also to look around within your own life and see people who maybe you never want to be like, or maybe you never want to find yourself in the positions that they are currently in. So equally as important as mentors, are people that you should find, people that you don't want to be like. And I think that that's equally empowering, to learn from those situations, to learn from those people and say, okay, how did they get there? Both the people that are doing well and the people that, are not doing so well, to just, really look around and analyze, what did they do to get to where they're at? Likewise, the people who I would never want to be like, what did they do to get to that place? So I make sure that I don't do, don't walk down that same path. But, with the mentors that I did have within the professional sphere, essentially it was, building first a relationship, a friendship, and then saying, hey, can you teach me about money? And just that simple question, they gave me $1 million advice, essentially these are people that were worth a lot of money. So just these little tidbits that they would share with me. And, some of the best money conversations are not had in a formal setting. They're over dinner, or they're over, just a run in the park. So it's really kind of encompassing, just really sort of catching those little tidbits. and saw how I applied them to my life, and they changed my relationship with money. So that is what sort of, really catalyzed what became the Latina Money podcast, and having, people have these money conversations on a much bigger stage. So it's been really neat to learn from people that I admire, but likewise, it's been equally as powerful to learn from people, who have maybe gone down a path that I know that I would not like to end up in. So it's been kind of a learning, and then again unlearning of certain things.
Yeah, again, really great advice. Looking at both sides of the equation and asking yourself, is what I'm doing right now taking me closer or further away from where I want to get to?
Yes.
Where I was going with this too is we're talking about mentorship and masterminds. I've met a lot of women along my journey of being a mentor as well, that they don't feel worthy of investing into mentors who have results, say someone who has wealth and abundance and financial independence and a portfolio of assets. What would you say to the woman who doesn't feel worthy of opening up her wallet, taking out some money and investing into a mentor who can literally give millionairess
Well, it's tough. I think again with the limiting beliefs, sometimes we don't know what we don't know, right? It really takes a leap of faith. It's really just listening to again, kind of going inwards and doing the internal work and checking in with yourself and saying, are you where you want to be in your life? If the answer is no, then hands down you have to invest in something, right? And what better to invest in than another person that's really going to take a personal interest in you and in building you up and making sure that you are, that they can kind of set you, that you can course correct, and that they can support you along the way. So I think, yes, the money, of course, is a factor when it comes to anything in life. We kind of have to weigh whether what we're going to spend our money on is worth the return. And I believe that there is no better return than you investing in yourself, than having somebody, if you're in a place right now where you don't feel so strong, you're not, really entirely motivated, you have to look for that type of support outside of yourself until you start believing it in yourself, until you start getting a little bit strong enough to maybe continue on that path on your own. But, of course, sometimes, we have to pay for something outside of ourselves that's going to give us a little bit of strength and the courage and the oomph to get us right on the right path.
Yes, I agree with you. I say, well, we're going to pay one way or another in time, trying to figure it out, or money. And I say I'd rather pay once, cry once, get a mentor who's got the result that I want, and save myself years. Because once you start getting into your late 30s, then your 40s, then your 50s, time goes so quick.
Right. And you can't afford to make a lot of those mistakes, and I think it's you're right. I love what you just said. It's going to cost you one way or the other. Do you want to pay the price the hard way, or do you want to, pay the price on something tangible that will give you a return? It's somebody investing in you so that you can believe, you can, to really to help you discover your own power, to really help you tap into that inner power that you have, and go on to multiply that money that you initially invested.
And so from all the work you're doing, the fabulous work you're doing out there, Janet, are you seeing millennials take on a different view around money than perhaps baby boomers or people from a different generation? Are they open to the idea of getting rid of old limiting beliefs from the past generations? And how are they around their money? What have you noticed?
Well, millennials have, a very unique challenge. I think, especially when it comes to, culture, when you factor in the cultural aspects.
Yes.
A lot of millennials were really coming out of college with a ton of student loan debt, with a ton of credit card debt, and it's been, a compounding problem. So I think, the need for financial education and empowerment is even more critical within the millennial community, because they're already, sort of getting their start much, playing catch up essentially much farther. So with the millennials, I've just, been so blown away, and with the subsequent generations, that they're really stopping to question things from the past. Were things working the way that my parents taught me? Where are we currently politically, globally with everything? So I've just been so blown away of how it's just more of a holistic approach, yes, we want money, but is being on the grind, is being on the hustle, worth sacrificing my spiritual health or my physical health? So they really are picking and choosing, again, that balance. This is what I believe, I need to live a fulfilled life, and really kind of living according to those values, and earning their money according to those values.
Yeah, it's heartwarming to hear this, that they're more open, perhaps. Well, not more, but they are open to asking questions and saying, does this make sense to me? Is it my belief or somebody else's belief? It's such a interest of mine to really help the younger generation ask better questions. Questions are the results, and ask how you can serve more people. And that really opens up the gateway, I believe, to imagination. And if you ask different questions, then you're going to get a different answer and then a different result. So I really love this. It's so great that we can be anywhere in the world having this incredible conversation from across the universe, across the world, all the way to Australia. But this is the beautiful thing about the time we live in. It's not just that one side of all downside. There's plenty of upside as well, where we're on a global stage, banded together. And this conversation is going to go global, which is really exciting, because we are all about impacting the younger generation through the butterfly effect. And I really love the work that you're doing and want to applaud you for that. We need more women out there talking about money.
Oh, it's incredibly empowering once we're able to see what's possible, and to engage in these conversations, not only to get real about, what money has been doing to us, what, the money mistakes that we've been making along the way, and I think sharing those and being more open so other people can learn from us, I think is incredibly powerful. But then also, what you were saying about globally, I think that we're so, these are immense times. And I think, the power to make money is just unlimited. And I think one of my recurring themes that I love to tell my Latinas is, to become a multicultural Latina. Even though we were born within, the Hispanic culture, once we're able to sort of step outside of our boundaries, like traveling to Australia or traveling to other parts of the world, you realize, hey, I might live in the United States, and my mind frame of making money has been just within my city or within my county, within my state, or even within my country. But you don't realize that there's an entire world out there that, money is being exchanged every second, microsecond. So, once we're kind of able to step out of those personal boundaries, we realize there's really so many other opportunities of prosperity and abundance that we, have yet to unlock, and I think it's been so exciting to see how women are really kind of, embracing and waking up to that fact that there's an entire world out there that we can step into and bring our talents, bring our skills in exchange for something that's going to help us, in our own lives to prosper and just live the way that we want to live.
I love what you're sharing there. And again, I hope people are really listening to this and taking notes. And in a time like this is a fabulous opportunity to listen to the guide within and ask yourself, wow, what are my God-given gifts and talents, and how can I turn that into opportunity and prosperity, helping other people get what they want, helping other people solve their problems, serving a need to be able to attract more of this into their lives, and not have that fear around needing a job, being needy, feeling small and feeling unworthy. Because I believe that the faster you become financially independent and create assets, you can get out there and serve so many more people. Just like we're having this conversation, if we had to go and get a job, we had a job, if I had a job, I wouldn't be able to sit here and have this amazing conversation with world leaders like yourself. And so there's so much opportunity in a time like this.
Absolutely. And it's an exciting time, but, likewise, it is a very frightening time. It is, an uncertain time, but equally, I love that you use the word opportunity. I think it's a great opportunity for us to kind of go back to the drawing board. And again, really assess what we have, the skills, the talents, that where we can sort of, serve, how we can better serve other people. And then, have it be a mutual exchange. So I think it's really neat that, we're not only having these conversations, but then also that we're open to connecting with other people, where, you just never know. Again, you never know how people want to support you in your journey, and you don't know how you can best support other people. So, it's fabulous to live in this technology age with, despite the pandemic, despite everything that's happening, it's actually been a blessing that people can kind of slow down a little bit long enough to cultivate these relationships that are going to help you open your eyes, that are going to help you open the way that you think to new possibilities.
I understand completely. And we talk about fear around money in a time like this. And from my own experience, what I can share is that the moment I stopped thinking about myself, my fears, and switched my thinking to creative and using my imagination, and asked myself, well, how can I pivot and focus on creating a service or a product that helps somebody else's life? I found that I wasn't as afraid. My fears subsided and I could shift my thinking. It's not easy. I say simple, but not easy. But like you said, it takes practice and breaking those habits, but it can be done with the help of women like yourself and the movement that we're creating. It can absolutely be done if we are committed and focused. Would you agree with that?
Yes, 1,000%. Absolutely.
So, Janet, I have a fabulous last question I'd love to ask you here. Thinking about where you are right now and where you want to be in the future, what specifically would you love to be known and remembered for?
Ooh, excellent question. Well, when it comes to the work that I'm doing within the financial space, I would love to be remembered as a woman that helped support other women live a life that they didn't have to just settle for, that they could choose the life that they want to live, not just have to settle for. And I think that would be, the ultimate legacy of the work that I'm doing, not just within the Latina community, but, just all women in general. I think we all, again, have the same, we have a lot of commonalities. We go through the same challenges. And I think, part of us, again, with maybe some of the programming that we've kind of been carrying around with us, we tend to, sometimes fall in that pit of, this is the best that life is. Maybe I just have to settle for whatever I've been given, but that's not true, and I think that part of financial empowerment is you really reclaiming that personal power and saying, no, I can change things. I can choose to not accept what I've been given because I want something else. I want something better for myself.
Well, Janet, from where I'm sitting, you are a true lighthouse, a lighthouse for women seeking a better life, seeking a life on their own terms, or a life by design, as we like to say. Absolutely. And I truly appreciate you sharing this conversation with me and being part of the Millionairess movement and being part of the butterfly effect. It's so great to chat with somebody who's really focusing on millennials, our next generation, who are going to be, taking over the world, hopefully ruling the world. And I have enjoyed every moment, and I want to say thank you and so appreciate it. And I don't believe this will be the last time we have a conversation.
I hope not. And I'm so honored. Thank you so much for having me on. And like I mentioned, I can't wait to share your work and, what you're doing, the incredible work that you're doing with women, with my community and my platform. And I'm absolutely sure this will not be the last time that we get to collaborate.
Oh, absolutely. Your students will really enjoy this conversation. I'm sure we're putting a lot of social media, a lot of money behind this. This is a global magazine. And so I truly hope that you share your story and impact more women. You'll certainly impact those who follow our movement. And again, we appreciate your contribution. It truly does matter. And again, I look forward to our next conversation because I love to leave the doors of opportunity wide open.
Thank you so much.
If there's anything we can do to support you, please reach out to Robin, and let's see where this goes.
Yes, I look forward to seeing how, you know, our communities will be evolving and thriving and just doing so much, you know, during these seemingly chaotic times. But I know that we're resilient, we're creative, and we got the drive, you know, to really make things a whole lot better.
Yeah, it's a real test, but these times will pass. And I think that women out there are really going to rise. The cream always comes to the top. And I think with leaders like yourself and what we're all doing together on a global stage here that we're creating with Millionairess Movement, we are going to see some very powerful opportunities and businesses come out of this where we are serving even more people. Watch this space, I say.
That I'm certain of, without a doubt. And I look forward to seeing more of your work and sharing more of it.
Thank you so much. Well, I've loved this conversation. You have a fabulous afternoon. Have you got much more on the books today? Have you got more conversations?
I get to spend a little bit of downtime, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, there's nothing better than that. Bit of self-love time.
Yes. Well,
okay, Janet. Thank you again. And our publisher, Robin Giptus, will be in touch with you and share all this and what happens next. But thank you from my heart, and you have a fabulous day, and we'll see each other soon.
With you. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye, gorgeous.